Now, one of the most lively and interesting discussions that often take place on our management training courses, whether online or in the flesh, relates to the essential qualities of excellent managers. I ask the delegates to consider the best manager they've worked for and to highlight the single most important attribute that made that person such a good manager. And frequently, the fact that the manager was seen to lead by example is quoted as the characteristic that's most significant to that manager being seen to be excellent. So therefore, it's a trait that maybe all leaders should understand and aspire to. Now, as a manager, you can't fail to set an example. However, the crucial point is whether it will be a good or a bad one. Nobody I've met will set out deliberately to set a bad example, but accidents happen. And the staff's perception is obviously all important as far as this subject's concerned. I always think that managers are a little bit like football referees. Supporters very rarely talk about a referee who's had a good game, whereas discussions about bad refereeing situations can rumble on for weeks after the final whistle. So in the working arena, staff may not always be consciously aware of a manager setting a good example, but they will almost certainly notice and possibly comment on a bad one. So be careful. Now, people take in information more through their eyes than their ears, and therefore what managers do has a far greater impact than what they say. Now, obviously, what you say also has a degree of importance and must match up with your actions. So any mixed messages in the part of a manager's role is going to cause confusion and resentment possibly. So the manager who demands provision of high standard of customer service, for example, from their team is going to have a huge problem if the staff notice that that manager fails to return a client's phone call or doesn't book a valuation in the right way or what have you. A do as I say, not as I do management style is absolutely guaranteed to lead to failure. And the least successful managers I've met have often been guilty of the misconception that once they've secured their management role, they can kind of take their foot off the gas and they've kind of arrived. Well, a key lesson for any successful manager is that management is an activity, not a status. And it's no coincidence that many estate agency staff display behaviour that they've absorbed directly from the person who manages them.